Hello friends, welcome to Nanaaba's Kitchen. Today on the menu we have 5 amazing side dish rice recipes and they are guaranteed to please the crowd. There are 5 of them, so please watch all of them and let me know which one is your favorite. Our first rice recipe is the popular yellow rice, which has been featured in a couple of videos prior to this one and it's been requested by a few of you. Now, you are going to need your pot on medium heat and you're going to pour in your cold pressed coconut oil followed by your onion puree. You're going to cook this for about 35 seconds and introduce your salt and crushed black pepper to season and your chicken seasoning as well as your turmeric. Now, it's the turmeric that turns the rice that pretty yellow color, which is absolutely gorgeous. Now you're going to cook that for about 30 seconds and add 1 clove of garlic grated in finely. And once you grate your garlic in, you're going to stir it really quickly to evenly incorporate it and add your rice. You don't want to overcook the garlic because it will burn and become bitter. Now your rice, you can use any long grain rice of your choice. Today I am using basmati rice and it's 1 cup of rice which has been washed thoroughly till the water turns clear, and then once you incorporate it you're going to toast it, and that step is so important because that's what ensures that your rice turns out nice and fluffy and single grains and beautiful to even look at, let alone eat. So you're going to stir it in 2 cups of water, bring it to a boil. Once it's done toasting, cover it and let it continue to cook on the lowest heat setting. So you're going to turn your heat down to the lowest setting and for about 15 minutes. And voila, there is the outcome. Just look at how fluffy. These grains are long, they're slender, they're gorgeous for presentation, and let me tell you, the taste, dynamite. Few ingredients, but the flavors are amazing. You may serve this with your chicken kebab as I did in my previous video, or whatever you choose to serve it with. Perfection. The next rice recipe on our menu is butter rice with very few ingredients, and yet the flavors are going to be out of this world, amazingly delicious. You need your unsalted butter, which you're going to melt on medium heat. And once it's melted, you're going to let it cook a little further until the cream part of the butter becomes caramelized. And that is brown butter, which is what takes the flavors in this dish to the next level. Now you're going to incorporate some scallions that are finely chopped. You're going to reserve the rest for garnish later on. Now, once you incorporate your scallions, you're going to cook it for about 30 seconds and incorporate your salt, your crushed black pepper, and your chicken seasoning. That's about it in terms of the ingredients. You're going to stir that in and cook for another minute and introduce your rice. Again, we're using 1 cup of basmati rice washed thoroughly to remove all the lingering excess starch so that when it cooks it becomes nice and fluffy and just absolutely perfect. You're going to toast this a little further, okay? So once you have all the moisture absorbed, you're going to let it sit and continue to cook whilst dry until you get those caramelized bits of rice grain on the bottom. That is even extra flavor. Trust me, you do it that way, you're going to absolutely not cook your butter rice any other way. Now you're going to incorporate 2 cups of water into it and bring it to a boil after you stir it up, and then cover the pot, turn your heat down to the lowest setting. Cook for 15 minutes and you have the perfect butter rice that is just so delicious. I encourage you to eat this in moderation, although I don't know if you can because it's that good. And you may serve this also with anything you want, any kind of stew, any kind of protein, or just as a side dish with whatever. It's just perfect. Now we add the rest of our scallions to garnish with, as well as some parsley. You may use cilantro, and of course you want to add a little more butter. It is butter rice after all, and just look at how beautiful it is for presentation too, and the taste is beyond your imagination. Perfection. Our next one is pulao, a rice dish from East Africa and India that is super flavorful. And you need a spice blend to cook pulao. So you need your star anise, coriander seeds, cumin seeds, and fennel. We're also going to add cinnamon sticks to this and process these ingredients till we get a powdery consistency. And we're going to set it aside and incorporate it shortly. Now, if you end up with a coarse texture, no worries. It's going to work just as well. Now, your pot needs to be on medium heat, and you're going to add olive oil. And again, the ingredients are all in the description box, and it was also on the screen for you. Now, the secret to making the best tasting pilau rice is the caramelized onions. So I have a lot of onions here. I'm using shallot onions for that sweet, mild taste. We're going to caramelize these. We're going to really caramelize them. So we want it to turn brown, not just golden. That is going to give that pilau its signature taste and color. It should take about 5 minutes to caramelize these onions until they turn brown. Now, when it's nicely caramelized, you're going to separate the caramelized onions from the oil and move on to the next step. I will be introducing protein to this recipe, so I'm using beef and I've cut them into small cubes. You may use lamb or chicken or whatever protein you prefer. And I add some chicken seasoning as well as half of the spice mix, and also add my salt. And you're going to cook the meat until you get some brown bits on it. That's equivalent to flavor, as you know. That should also take about 4 minutes. See the caramelization going on in the meat? That's exactly what you want. The meat is ready for the next step. So now we add the rest of the spice blend as well as the onions that we caramelized from the beginning. We're going to be using 1 cup of basmati rice also for this recipe. So we wash that thoroughly till the water turns clear. I think you get it by now. And we're going to toast it until all of the moisture is evaporated or absorbed. And then we'll add our water. We're going to be adding 2 cups of water. Turn the heat down to its lowest setting. Make sure you stir it first to get all the ingredients evenly incorporated. And then cover the pot and let it cook for 15 minutes. Now, when it's done cooking, we're going to add some raisins. You may use the golden raisins. That works perfectly for this. And what I absolutely love about pilau is that you can enjoy it just as it is, on its own or with a little bit of salad on the side or a salsa. And it's just perfect. And it's well balanced too. And let me tell you, the flavors are beyond your imagination. You really have to try this recipe. This might just be my favorite. Next on the menu is the incredible jollof rice raining from West Africa. And I put this recipe together with a goal to cook it under 25 minutes. So again, you need your pot on medium heat and add the oil of your preference. And I'm using cold pressed coconut oil for that extra oomph. And then I'm going to add my tomato paste first. Yes, and I'm going to cook it for about a minute to cook out the canned flavor, enhance the taste of the tomato paste as well as the color of the jollof rice in the end. Add your onions, finely chopped, as well as rosemary and some celery, also finely chopped, with a small bay leaf. And then I have curry powder, crushed black pepper, chicken seasoning, and granulated garlic. Also, don't forget to season with some salt. And you're going to cook now for about 1.5 minutes till these ingredients are perfectly caramelized. Then I add some dry ingredients, which are Korean chili powder or any chili powder. This one does not have any heat, so I love that. And then I also added smoked paprika for an extra smoky flavor there. Now cook this for about 1 minute and add your rice. This is 1 cup of rice, basmati rice. I love basmati rice because it cooks so beautifully. And presentation is very important to me, that any grain of rice that's long would work perfectly for this recipe as well. Now toast it to get rid of the moisture and then add your water. And it's 2 cups of water that just went in. You want to stir it and bring it to a boil. And then you cover it and turn the heat down to the lowest setting and cook for 15 minutes undisturbed. And you will have beautiful tasting jollof rice. Simple, but the flavors are not so simple. They are very sophisticated. Look at that. Perfect. Now I'm going to add some vegetables. So I'm using carrots, as you can see here, and some green beans. You want to stir that in. The jollof still has some moisture in it, so you want to stir it in and cover it and let it cook for 2 more minutes, still on low heat, and you are done. You can eat this with any protein of your choice. Serve it with whatever you choose, and just look at that. The flavors, few ingredients, but the flavors are so amazing. The final rice recipe today, guys, is our rice and beans, inspired by our Ghanaian waakye. Now you're going to need to have your pot on medium heat. You all know the drill by now. You're going to add your coconut oil. This is cold pressed, so it has that extra flavor in there. And you're going to add some finely chopped onions and rosemary as well. And you're going to add your seasoning. I have crushed black pepper, salt, and chicken seasoning. Stir it all together and cook for about a minute. And then also add your smoked paprika. It gives it an extra flavor, which is incredible. So stir this up together. Cook for about a minute until the onions are caramelized. And I just added my black beans. Now I parboil these black beans, and I do that on a large scale and store it in the freezer. And I also added some black bean broth as well. What I'm going to do is let the black beans simmer down and cook, because when I parboil them, I leave them very al dente, meaning it's not soft enough. Okay, so cook it for about 10 minutes and that should soften it perfectly. And there you are. Add 1 cup of basmati rice or any long grain rice of your choice. Wash it thoroughly and add it. And we're not going to toast this time because of the presence of the beans in this recipe. We're going to add 1 cup of water, not 2 as we've done previously, because we already have the broth in there and some moisture. It will still come out nice and fluffy. Just keep watching, even though we didn't toast it. So you want to bring it to a boil and then cover it up, turn the heat down to its lowest setting. You already know the drill. And let it continue to cook for 15 minutes. And just take a look at how fluffy it is. This was my children's favorite. It is a hit in my home. And I hope you try it. And I really want to hear your comments. Let me know which one of these rice recipes is your favorite. And of course, I garnished it and made it more fresh by adding some parsley. And you may omit that step or add any herb of your choice. And just look at how pretty this is. And as for the taste, forget about it. Thank you so much for watching. Make it a great day and have fun, especially in that kitchen. Boy, I really enjoyed these recipes, and I hope you also do the same. And let me hear from you. Bye.